had previously purchased, right? And that is AI. Like that's a part of AI for the website to be able to make recommendations based on your past purchases. That is AI being able to generate those recommendations for you. Same difference with Netflix, recommendations for movies for you to watch, and even music with Spotify. That is AI. And then just to go into some statistics, which I was provided by U.S. Chamber, in 3 in 4 small businesses, so 70% say that having employees who use AI tools could give them an edge against competitors. And then additionally, 71% of small business owners think hiring employees with AI skills could save them time in the long run. And 67% say it could save them money in the long run. And I think as far as with these statistics, you think about productivity, and time management. I'm going to say both productivity and time management because they kind of go both into play when you think about, where your business is, you're striving for your business to go to. So I think those statistics are, good. So I wanted to include them as well in this presentation. And then who would I not be if I did not include a Martin Luther King Jr. quote on his birthday? So faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. We at Tech Elevate, we really take that in consideration when we're out doing, digital coaching and like trying to really encourage people to utilize technology. So I felt like what better moment to have this and express it within this presentation and now we're about to dive in. So with that being said, I definitely want to ask you to have a little faith in me and allow me to take you through that first step. Right? And then going into it, I wanted to really highlight ChatGPT and Gemini AI, which they are known as advanced language models and also known as conversational AI or chatbots. You might have seen that too. Um, they're designed to understand and respond to natural language input, making them useful for a wide range of tasks. And they're also known as LLMS, large language models, which there are many of them. I just wanted to highlight these because these are right now, from my understanding anyway, some of the most popular models. There are other language models that kind of cater to specific needs. But with ChatGPT and Gemini, I think right now they are two of the hot topics for us. So I wanted to definitely highlight that them for you. Right. And then when you think about AI or ChatGPT and Gemini, and even going back to those different applications like Siri, Alexa, and Google Assistant, you give them a command, whether it be like, oh, play this music. Oh, what's the weather today? That's giving them a command. In other words, it's a prompt. You're prompting them to give you a response. And a lot of times, oh, I'm sorry. A lot of times with the response, it may give you a human response, almost as if you are literally having a conversation with someone. So the start of really getting into, with AI is a prompt. It's giving it a command or asking it a question. Prompts can be simply questions or keywords or even more complex instructions, which we'll go into that as we go along with the presentation today. And then the quality and the relevance of the AI's response is directly influenced by the effectiveness of your prompt. So whatever you asked it, whether depending on the details that you provide, that's how effective the response from AI will be. Right. And then I wanted to give some good tips for a good prompt. So with the prompts, you definitely want to be clear and specific. And just to go into some examples, like an unclear prompt is just like a general, request. Write a poem. There's no background to it. You're just asking it to write a poem. It can write anything it wants. It may ask you, hey, what type of but if you're more specific, then that's going to determine what that the outcome of their response is to you. Which a more specific prompt would be, write a short poem about the transition of trees through seasons, and be sure that it rhymes, right? You're telling it, yes, write a short poem. Sorry, I said prompt. Write a short poem about in regards to seasons, and make sure it rhymes. So it's like that breakdown of instruction. It really needs that to develop its response for you. And then second, set the tone, provide context. Without context, the example is that you requested create a list for traveling. Create a list for traveling. It could be so much that it could put on as far as like the response it'll give you. But if you go into more detail, I'm traveling on my first cruise to the Bahamas with friends. Can you create a list of things I may want to take? You're giving it those details. First of all, you're letting it know that this is my first cruise. So I've never been on a cruise before. And I'm going to the Bahamas, kind of giving it with the atmospheres to be expected, right? And then you're asking it what you want it to do, which is create a list of things that you may want to take for that trip. So having that set tone and providing that context is, you're giving it that direction so that you can get exactly what you need out of that response the AI gives you. And then another tip is define your desired output. And I kind of just went into that, but I do want to go into the next example. So without actually telling which you desire the output to be, you could just say, tell me about Spain. But with defining that, you put, write me a list of 5 bullet points about the most interesting facts about Spain. So it's like that clear direction. Okay, you only want 5 bullet points, and you only want the most interesting facts. Like those key points, that's going to strengthen your response from AI. And then, of course, just as a bonus, if you don't know what prompt to use, you can certainly ask AI. And also, there's no real limit to what you can ask it. Just ask it. It's going to give you a response, whether it can answer it or not. It will give you that response. So you can add on to, your question and stuff just based on one topic. You don't have to feel like you have to continuously add one thing at a time. You can continuously ask questions. So, and then finally, to the point that you all are here, um, how can I use AI in my business? So I wanted to go into like some applications because believe me, there's a lot of layers to AI, and it would not be fit in a 1 hour presentation. But just to give you some key points and some things to think about, the first application you think about probably is financial. How can it benefit your business on the financial aspect, which categorizing financial transactions, you think about automating financial tasks, such as like payment reminders or even creating invoices. It also can assist in creating financial goals. And then I wanted to also give an example. So, just like I said before, I wanted to use ChatGPT and Gemini. And I do also want to make it aware that both platforms, both applications, I'll say, have a paid version. So, if you do utilize the free version, you may be limited to the information that it's able to provide you. But with the paid version, of course, you have more options. You have more of, those options as far as the feedback it'll provide you. So in this example, in regards to financial, I used the prompt, I want my barbecue restaurant to make 100,000 in gross revenue next year. Break down and break down into a monthly goal in a chart. Be sure to include seasonally in your numbers. So if you see ChatGPT did provide a chart, that monthly chart, it gives a full breakdown for the year as far as that revenue goal. And you see the dollar amounts are different. And then it'll give you a little tidbits here and there. So with ChatGPT, it says this breakdown reflects increased demand during spring and summer months, April and August. And I said, I didn't even know April is considered a part of, like summer, but it did say spring and summer months. So April would be April showers, spring. And it'll gradually decline in fall and winter. So it's letting you know you should expect that it is possible for that decline, outside of the spring and summer months. So having those little tips, I'm telling you, honestly, it's like a conversation when you use these chats, uh, because just like you're speaking to somebody, say if you don't have time to get an answer and you're calling a friend and you're like, I'm trying to see your opinion, and they don't have time. You can simply type that question into AI and get the response because it's supposed to be a human response that gives you. I think it's definitely a great learning tool as well to use. And then Gemini. Gemini gave also a monthly revenue goals for the barbecue restaurant, and it gave you that breakdown as far as the dollar amount expected within those months. But then it went the extra mile and gave you a breakdown of the dollar amount, but then also gave you tips or things to consider in those months. Like for January, typically a slower month after the holidays, focus on attracting customers with comforting winter specials. Like those little tidbits, it may have been something you might have thought of, it may have not. But to have that backup to, because sometimes I know me, I overthink. So to have that calming feature to kind of calm your thoughts for you is definitely, I think, a good partnership. So. And then our next application of AI, customer service. Respond to customer inquiries with appropriate answers and escalated complex issues to human agents. And I think initially when I thought about this, I was thinking about, you think about the automated system, which I know that's not a fave of a lot of people who wants to go through the automated system. But you think about what can be considered when a customer is coming through the automated system and they want to be directed to a specific department or, try to get to the right agent. Initially that's the root of their call. They're trying to get to the right agent. So, you think about the automated systems. If they can, you know, put in what they actually are looking for or what type of help they need, then they can easily be directed to the correct department or agent, so to speak. And then analyze past customer behavior to suggested products or services, increasing upselling and cross-selling opportunities. With this, if you are an online shopper, like I said, I am an online shopper, but if you are an online shopper, you may do the same thing I do. A lot of times I may shop and I may put a lot of stuff in my cart that I do not purchase, but I just leave it there just for later because I'm coming back later. But uh, you may forget about it. So you think about the different messages that it can provide a customer to have you come back. You may be familiar with it. Text messages, emails, where it's saying, "Hey, you left something in your cart." It's like it's giving you that reminder to come back and purchase it. So when you think about that on the customer service side, that's huge to give somebody because sometimes life so you forget about stuff, but to have have your customer have those reminders to bring them back into you is a great tool to have too. And then send tailored emails or SMS text messages campaigns based on customer preferences or purchase history. Again, I dived into this in the beginning when I was talking about Amazon and how it makes those recommendations for you based on your previous purchase history. So, it definitely is a tool when you think about customer service. And, there's so many other topics you can think of, but these are great things to think about. And of course, I had to give an example. With this prompt, I thought it was really funny. I made it a point to take a real life review from a restaurant. I won't say the restaurant, but so the prompt that I gave was, I am the owner of a barbecue restaurant. I need a welcoming response to this customer review. No napkins? A barbecue place with no naps? The brisket nachos had 5-inch strips of brisket on them, impossible to eat on a nacho chip. The strawberry pretzel salad was a cup of strawberry jello, topped with crushed pretzels and topped with whipped cream. Not quite strawberry salad. I've tried this location multiple times over the years, and it is consistently disappoints. Thumbs down, emoji. So we put this into Chat GPT and we put it in Gemini. And as you can see, we got close to the same responses. Chat GPT was my pick on this one because uh, as they took accountability, right? It gave that accountability. You're taking accountability for the bad experience as far as the customer had. In the same sense, you're asking them that you hope that they give you another chance. And on top of that, contact us directly so we can see how to make things right. That sounds like a free meal to me. So I would go with that. So, and then Gemini, again, taking that accountability, and thanking the customer for their feedback and their honesty. You know, sometimes some reviews can be a little much, and you might go with your first man instead of let it simmer and figure out how you want to really respond. So having these tools to kind of guide you, giving you a response that will allow you to try to keep your morale, within your business up to par. That is definitely helpful. But Gemini didn't give the offering of possible free meal. So, but it still gave the same response, like I said, as far as that accountability. And then applications of marketing. Create content for social media, newsletters, blog posts, and presentations. Um, you know, as I said, I can be an overthinker sometimes. And going back to the phase of thinking about productivity and time management, and you're thinking about how you can be creative with AI to get those ideas and things flowing. Also, create an annual marketing plan that includes unique holidays for social media. You know, there's so many different holidays. I mean, I think there's like High Day. There's so many different special days that you can think of that you may not know of too. So that's helpful. Assist in improving your search engine optimization. Develop your target market. And of course, we have another example. With this prompt, I actually included an image. Yes, you can definitely add images on here. And I included the image with the question, and I asked both chat and Jim. I am a owner of She-Roll B2Q. Yes, I made that name up. I might use it later, so don't take, don't take my name. No, I'm just kidding. But I did make that name up, and then I said I need a Facebook post using this image to help promote my restaurant. And you see, chat gave you a response. Get your grill on at She Roll B2Q. Nothing says barbecue for perfection like a tender, smoky, and sauce dripping ribs. It just, it kind of makes you hungry. And then the same thing for Gemini. Getting it saucy up in here. We're smoking up some mouth-watering ribs today at She Roll B2Q. Come on down and get them while they're hot. Our ribs are fall off the bone tender and drenched in our signature barbecue sauce. And it even has the emojis, it has the hashtags for you to include. Like it really is giving you those details to think about. So I think that's a great feature to have as well. And then uh, applications in regards to administrative tasks. Honestly, just about all the other applications that we have gone through in some way is like considered administrative to me. So the example that we'll be using for this is just like an added bonus. But again, just some things to consider. Analyze your calendar. Suggest times for meetings and focus time. Considering your existing commitments and priorities. Again, that tool as far as time management and not overbooking yourself. For it to help you kind of, manage your calendar and suggest times for your meetings, I think that's a reliever a little bit. Also, it can identify trends and patterns in data, enabling proactive planning and informed decision making. Analyze resumes and match candidates with relevant job openings, streamlining the recruitment process. So for this prompt, we're still sticking with the barbecue theme. Um, I own a barbecue restaurant. I need to understand my target market better to improve my marketing and operations. Analyze my ideal customer profile based on demographics, behavior, and interests. Also, highlight the key factors that motivate them to choose a barbecue restaurant and their typical dining preferences. And you'll see, like, throughout the prompts, you see it's like a little more detail, a little less. You fluctuate as far as the details. And again, it's like that limitless as far as like prompts. You can add on to this prompt. If it gives you a response that you are not looking for, go back and ask for what you are looking for specifically. So with this, I'm gonna be totally honest. This gave me Criminal Minds. Out like the profile, it gave me Criminal Minds. Uh, Gemini, for instance, it says the demographics: 25 to 55 years old, gender, slightly towards male, but generally balanced. Which I hope I was glad that they mentioned that because I like to barbecue myself. So I was like, but and then location within a 10-mile radius of your restaurant with higher concentration in nearby residential areas. Behaviors and dining frequency, enjoys eating out at least once a week. Like it's giving you these key details. Then the social media, they would need to be active on social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Yelp. So those people that are the reviewers or looking for reviews, then you probably be the ideal one for the barbecue restaurant customer profile. And I did separate this because, as you can see, it gave a huge breakdown. So the first example is Gemini, but I also have the response from chat as well. So we'll go to that next now. And it kind of, gave similar answers again. This was like maybe a year off. This said primarily 25 to 54 years old, with secondary focus on families, parents bringing children, and seniors who enjoy comfort food. Uh, just to have this breakdown, I would never have thought to have it break down this detail and give me thoughts on how somebody's behavior can influence them to my barbecue restaurant. Like that's crazy. But again, wow, what a great tool to have, to have you thinking about it. And that actually ends our presentation. So with ending it out, I definitely want to give a little homework and ask, what first prompt are you going to use? And again, thank you. I do want to mention that we do offer free digital coach services, one-on-one coaching, as well as workshops. You can schedule appointments. If any, even if you feel like you want to go into more detail as far as about AI and the tools that you may be able to utilize for your business, you can contact us. The contact information is here. I'll also be sharing a handout with you all too. And then even if you want to schedule today, you can use this QR code if you want, and you can certainly schedule a session with us. And again, it is no cost, free coaching. So again, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Shanita. I know
Shanita.
I used
I use
the Chat GPT,
ChatGPT,
in which
in
if
which
I'm writing
if
a
I'm writing
report, I'll put up my thoughts, put it in there, and see what it shoots out. Now I won't take everything that it shoots verbatim, but I do use different things that they have in there in my report to make it sound a little better.
yes, no, you're right, absolutely. And like I said, it definitely has its pros and cons, and you do have to utilize it responsibly. But having it give you kind of an idea of where to go, because sometimes people don't know their starting point. Like, where do I start with this to get that idea? But yeah, I definitely would not use it verbatim. Um, you definitely want to proofread it. You want to fact check, of course, definitely fact check, um, and provide it the feedback. It gives you a thumbs up, thumbs down to provide it to let it know, okay, this response was good, or no, this wasn't really what the response I was looking for. Um, But yes, you definitely, don't use it verbatim.
Does anybody have any questions? All right, I'll take that as a no. Well, we'd like to thank everyone that participated in our webinar today. Next week, we have a certifications webinar, which will be with EMSDC and SEPTA, who will walk you through the steps of getting your business certified. We actually have 2 of those. If you can't make it next week on January 22nd, we'll have another one on February 25th. And finally, we'll have Access to Capital webinar, which will be with Huntington Bank on February 18th. Um, Please, there will be a survey sent out to you. Please fill it out and send it back to us so we can let Shanita know how well she did. And this concludes our presentation for today. Thank you, everyone. Y'all have a good weekend.